Welcome to Universal Journeys Radio with your hosts, Dr. Brenda L. Bates and Donny Winter. Follow your heart, for only you know which path is right for you. Universal Journeys is about how spirituality intersects with nearly every other aspect of our lives, even when we don't realize it or see it. Creativity and expression are our connections to the spiritual energy many seek to understand, and our identity is forged through this process. Universal Journeys seeks to help illuminate the different intersections between creativity, spirituality, and identity in order to empower and enlighten. Tonight's show, Want to Know a Secret, is about twin flames versus soulmates. So if you'd like to give us a call or call into our call-in number, it is 347-850-8292. That's 347-850-8292. And welcome, Donny.
Hello, Brenda, dear. How are you this evening?
Good.
I have my coffee at the ready, so we're good.
All right. Yeah, I got booted off of there just before the song ended. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I got to get back in there. So if we have technical difficulties because Blog Talk Radio is having a little bit of an issue, so we're just going to kind of go with it and see how far we can, transcend all of these great and wonderful, I don't know, what do you call that? Obstacles. There we go.
Technological problems.
There you go. It was quite interesting, to say the least.
So, since our show tonight is about twin flames, I think it would be interesting for you to explain to us what that is and how it compares and contrasts with soulmates.
Well, twin flames is really close to a soulmate, or soulmate is, I should say, it's absolutely wrong. The soulmate is closely connected with the twin flame. And the soulmate themselves, they come to us to help us to grow, to help us to get through a lot of different things in our lives and to overcome obstacles, overcome certain situations with love and relationships before we can actually go to the next level of twin flame. Now, there are many, many differences between soulmates and twin flames, but yet they're very similar, just like I mentioned. The twin flame really is a higher connection. It is like a soul connection, which is another part of or aspect of your soul, as in, I like to call it, or like to give the analogy that it is a spark of God. When you have God there, and then He, broke off a spark of Him to enlighten the world, or enlighten consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, He split those two into two. And those two also split into two each, and so on and so forth. And from those two, you get the soulmates underneath them, which will feel and does feel like they're part of, that soul group. I mean, it's like a great, line, depending on how far down the chain you are. But the twin flame is an offshoot of that first flame of God, or that first spark of God. So it is really kind of a neat thing. I mean, if you are able to connect with it, the twin flame, they are the ones who have unconditional love for one another, for each other, if you want to even say that. And there's no jealousy, there's no foreboding, and they still bring their lessons with us. But the soulmates, you're like, see you later, have a good day, boop, gone, And I'm going to be reading some things here, too, tonight from a website. I mean, it explains it a lot better than I could even imagine to explain what the signs are of a twin flame. So that's a little bit of what's going on. The other thing, too, with twin flames, just because they're here or they're not here, you can sense them and feel them no matter what. So I know that personally because I have a twin flame, and I was able to meet him and now he's passed, and I can still feel him around me. So there's a deeper connection to that, and it's a little bit different than the connection with loved ones and things. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting dynamic.
It's very interesting. It's like it's taking the concept of soulmate to the next level. From my own perspective, I always interpreted soulmate as simply being like sharing a lot of similarities with another person and having a lot of, physical connections with another person. But it seems like, to me, twin flames elevate that considerably. Like on a spiritual level, we're connected with the other person. On an emotional, like a more empathic level, we're connected with that person, even though we do not necessarily know them yet. And there are some instances where twin flames never meet each other. They're just aware of each other's presence in the world. So I know we're going to get, and I know we're going to get a lot of this question at some point, but my question is, how does one learn to sense their other twin flame?
That's a good question. I can only tell you my experience, and my experience, and this started at a very young age, and I tell this story because it's so bizarre to me. I was riding on the bus one time, going to school. I would say maybe between 7 and 9 years old, and I found this little purple earring, this little purple plastic earring that little kids always get, their mom and dad buy for the kids. And I picked it up and I stuck it on my earlobe. And from the earlobe, I had my hand over top of it. And what it was is I heard a voice, I'm clairvoyant too. So I heard a voice, a man's voice, and I was listening to it, and I could image this person behind a microphone. And when I was younger, it to me that the only thing that I knew, or anybody that I knew behind a microphone, was a radio announcer. And then all of a sudden, it was like he stepped back, and music, women started to sing, okay? And I could see what the women looked like. They were black women. And then when they finished, he would come back to the microphone. But I could never see his face. I could only see him behind the microphone. So I didn't know if he was actually sitting down or standing up or what it was. And then from there, back to reality, I guess as you call it, I had someone sitting next to me, and she was older, and she said, "Oh, honey, do you have an earache?" And I said, "No, I'm listening to the radio." And she looks at me kind of funny. She says, "Honey, you can't because you don't have a radio." And that stopped that type of telepathic connection. But I've always remembered that throughout the years. The other thing that happened, or that I felt, was I felt that I was missing a part of me. Like there was a longing for someone, other than just being, that you need someone in your life. That wasn't the case. It was just that I knew that there was someone special that was going to come into my life, and then I don't know what from there. But it's like I just knew that there was someone that I was meant to meet. When, where, I have no idea. I mean, I was married when when we connected with each other, the twin and I. And it's an interesting concept because the twin actually was a priest, and that was Father Patrick Bosio. And it was just crazy. And I had learned, about soulmates, and twin flames wasn't really big during that time frame. So these were a lot of things that was going on. I'm like, man, I wish I was your soulmate type of deal. Yeah. Because he said that he had a soulmate with someone else in the Caribbean because, Father Patrick was a Holy Ghost father out of Turks and Caicos Island in the Caribbean. He was an Italian from Boston. And his passion was actually being around the African Americans because he wanted to learn all about them, and that was huge for him. So it's very interesting stuff. So that's my story. And there was a lot of things that transpired after our connection. But I can tell you, once we did connect, that particular longing was no longer there. And people have that type of thing. We connected on a soul level where I could sense, feel, touch. I mean, it's just like we could do many, many different things which a regular soulmate would not be able to do on a spiritual level. And that's another way that you can tell if it's a soul or twin flame versus a soulmate. Did that kind of answer your question?
That does. That was very eloquent, Brenda.
Yeah, right. Well, thank you.
It was.
Okay. I want to read something, and it's a little bit long, but yet it gives you some really good information, too, about the twin flame soulmates. And this comes from the twinflamesoulmates.com, and that's www.twinflamesoulmates.com. And these guys are really, really good at bringing this dynamic and getting it straight to the point. So if you will allow me to go ahead and do that, I'd appreciate it. So
we're all ears.
Thank you. It says, twin flame signs and relationship dynamics. Throughout the course of your life, you may have had unusual or powerful dreams, visions, or fantasies of a mysterious person. You get a particular feeling, and the energy of the individual feels familiar, as if it is someone you have already met in the past or someone you will meet in some unknown future. You have a vague feeling that this person is real, even if you cannot see a face or invent their physical appearance in your mind. You have a feeling as if this person is out there somewhere and may even know who you are on the same level. There may be an unusual synchronicity or event that surrounds the initial meeting between first flames. Often you have a feeling of knowing or something that you just can't quite put into words. Twin flames often encounter each other for the first time, whether in person or online, in any unusual way. The twin flame comes into your life in an unexpected way out of the blue, and usually there are synchronicities and strange occurrences or major shifts in energy that same week of the initial meeting. Most twin flame couples are physically at a distance or live in different countries. Often there is something that prevents the twin flames from being physically together in the beginning. There is usually because there is much energetic work to be done on the mental and emotional levels before the physical meeting can occur. If the physical meeting were to occur too soon, the energy can often be too intense. The relationship is immediate, as though no time had been lost since you were last together. You feel comfortable with them, and you feel you can truly be yourself with them. Sometimes conventions or conversations seem to last forever, and there is not much that twin flames are not willing to talk about. It is as if you could share your entire life with this person, and there is a level of openness and understanding between you that brings a comfortable yet intriguing sense of familiarity. You feel an overwhelming sense of love and attraction. This love is genuine and heartfelt, and you feel magically or magnetically drawn to their energy, which I did. This is not to be confused with lust or an obsessive love. Twin flame love is unconditional and transcends the ego. If you have found your twin flame, it does not mean that the relationship will necessarily be free from issues or personal conflict. There may still be lessons and healing that must take place between the twin souls. Twin flames are still human beings on the physical level. You feel a sense of you feel a sense of completion that goes beyond words. This feeling is about wholeness on the soul level that is beyond the physical. Each twin flame is still an individual and is not the other half of your soul, as if you are a complete soul now that you have found them. You are meeting in an energetic mirror of your own soul. You share a vibration and you resonate with them. You even feel an attraction to the sound of their voice, and it may even sound familiar to you. And all of that is is what I felt with Patrick. And at times, on a different level, I still feel and sense that. Now, I don't necessarily agree with this is not the other half of your soul. I mean, that's another part, I guess, another aspect of your soul, because your soul's in many different fragments. But that right there basically says it in a nutshell for me.
That was very interesting. So, from what I got from that, from what you just read, it doesn't necessarily replace an empty part of your soul. It simply resonates with your soul. It is a reflection of your soul in someone else, basically.
Yes.
And this is very interesting because so many people go through life attempting to find something to fill that part of their soul or their heart, and they don't realize that that finding a person isn't necessarily about filling a void or replacing something in you. Nothing should be replaced in you. It should resonate with you. It should work in conjunction with you.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree, because this is not a neediness energy. There are people out there that need someone in their life just because they think that they're going to be fulfilled by that individual, and be sadly mistaken when they do. So the twin flame, even though it states that it kind of completes you, but yet it isn't. It's an inner knowing that yes, that person is here, and if we needed to communicate on a higher plane, that we could do so. 9 times out of 10, soulmates don't come in at the same time. One normally stays out, in the ethers, and the other one is the one that comes down in the physical form. Not until of late have they both come on at the same time, or in the physical form at the same time. Now, the earlier ones, if they did that, then 9 times out of 10, one would be much older and the other one would be much younger. And that was the case with Patrick and I. Patrick, when he passed away in 2010, he was 83 years old, and I am 54. So that's a huge difference there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, this goes to show people that also the whole twin flame relationship extends even beyond age. It doesn't matter what generation. For all we know, it could be someone from the past, from a long time ago, who has crossed over already.
Yep, absolutely. There's been that done as well. There was a gal in Ohio, I believe it was in Cincinnati, Ohio, I don't remember all the details, but when she was a younger girl, she had this guy come to her and visit her on a spiritual plane, but yet it wasn't really, it wasn't an intense thing. But when he passed away, he came there and, in the spirit form, and he explained who he was. And then they started a communication back and forth, and she's written several books with his help about the twin flame connection.
Mm-hmm.
So, this stuff is real. This is not something, some fly-by-night or whatever. This stuff is real stuff. And it's intense energy. And you do get magnetized or drawn to the other person's energy. It's just amazing. And I could see where some of them would have like a stalker mentality if the other twin wasn't ready for it. You could get those. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is so interesting.
Yeah, it's a beautiful connection.
Oh, go ahead. What was that?
No, I said it's a beautiful connection if you understand it, or when you do get to understand it.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I was doing some research about twin flames, and the whole concept of the twin flame relationship has existed for a long, long time, dating all the way back to conversations between Plato and Aristotle when they were talking about different esoteric concepts like the soul and like the connection with other people. But back then they only believed that it was specific and reserved for only higher spiritual individuals. And I think the reason why now it's gaining more attention is because more and more people are realizing that it's not limited to that one small specific group of people.
Well, the other thing, too, is we are becoming more and more aware of our spirituality. So our vibrations are raising, too, and that helps out quite a bit. And I can tell you that before I was able to meet Patrick, I had to raise my energy up to his level. You remember, he's a priest. I mean, he was a priest. He became a priest in 1955. You know, and I didn't meet him until 1987 for the first time. So he had all this background and all this religion and all of this, you know, prayer and everything else. So his energy was quite high, and he did a lot. I mean, he was very, very well informed and tuned in. So I had to raise my energy up to the level where he was at, or at least partial to the level that he was at, to be able to connect with him. And that's where all these other soulmates come into play, is they help you to get there. They help you to realize, even though we don't think that what's happening is, you know, why it's happening, but this is really, it's helping you to get to that connection of the twin flame. You can get all some of the other guff out of the way, you know, so that you meet this, you know, your twin flame. And I would say, let's see, I was on my second year of ministry with the Diocese of Gaylord here, the Catholic Diocese. I was in my second year of ministry when he came into my life. And during the first year and the second year, I raised my energy up quite a bit. I connected to the divine source more than I ever had. And this is when he started to come into play. I could tell you when I was in the service that, and this is a synchronicity thing, when I was in the service and I was in Germany, I was being stationed back to the States here, and I was supposed to go to Arlington Cemetery, be stationed there. Well, a little bit I know, and not until after Patrick's passing, did I figure out that Patrick was maybe 50 miles away from where I would have been at the college, at a university teaching. He was at the Naval University.
Oh.
So we could have met during that time frame. But for whatever reason, well, it was a good reason, because I was married at the time and I wanted to go where my husband was going to go. So that's just one of those synchronicities that talks about in that particular article. And it does happen. I mean, and then all of a sudden, you know, Patrick just shows up out of the blue right there at my parish after he had an issue with throat cancer. He was coming back off of medical leave. And so he just came here to he came here to Michigan at a small little rinky-dink place. I can't believe that he actually came there, but so that's how we met. He came to the parish.
Wow, that's crazy. Like crazy awesome, though, because, I mean, you could tell that you guys were within proximity a few times, but there was that in-person connection was never made until it almost was like you both were drawn together.
Oh, yeah. I knew something the first time that I looked in his eyes. There was just something about him that I could not explain, you know, and it was amazing. It was amazing. So heart-wrenching, amazing, a lot of things that I went through that I'm sure he went through too, because being a priest, you know, you can't have that particular type of connection with love and things. So it was tough. It was really tough. I learned a lot. I really did. And I'm sure he did too as well.
Wow.
So, and he actually, I might as well say it now, he actually wrote a book, an interesting twist to the book, though. I mean, some of the stuff wasn't quite the way he did it or wrote it about it. But he wrote a book about our connection. And he put in each character, there's really 3 main characters. And the 3, well, actually 4. But the 3 to 4 main characters had bits and pieces of us both in each character. Because it would go back and forth, back and forth. And the book is called Sacred Obsession by Father Patrick Bosio. It had me, right at the beginning, I was crying. I was like, this is what he thought of me. And then I had to step back out of the emotion and realize, what that was all about. But he wrote this, he started to write this when he was still here in Michigan. And then the rest of it was written afterwards. And there is no way that he should have been able to know some of the things that he wrote in that book about what I did about what I did. Because it resonated with me. It was connected. It was like, he did know. It was like, well, he did know. It's quite interesting. It's an interesting book.
I mean, this book, too. It's really good.
He was a prolific author, definitely, and he knew how to write stories. There was no doubt about that. Well, he was down in the Caribbean for quite some time, and to learn the ways and the communications of, the black man and woman. So, and what they had to do through slavery and how they, so he learned that process. He did a very good job with it, actually. So, with that said, let's go for a break, and after the break, let's start take some calls. What do you think?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, I'm not sure who we're going to listen to. How about let's do the Neo, Miss Independent. That's the way I am still, Miss Independent. Here we go. See you after break. That's why I love her. Okay, welcome back to Universal Journeys with your hosts, Dr. Brenda L. Bates and Donny Winter. Our telephone number is 347-850-8292, and we're talking about twin flames versus soulmates. I'm turning it over to you, Donny.
All right, before we get on to the second portion of our show, I'd like to do a couple of advertisements. If you like our shows and you want to follow us on social media, go to Facebook.com and type in Universal Journeys, and you should be able to find our page. The URL for it is Facebook.com/UniversalJourneys111. We post updates regarding our show. We also post a lot of uplifting messages, so feel free to share in that with us. Also, if you go to YouTube, we are in the process of uploading our shows to YouTube. If you type in Universal Journeys on YouTube, you will find our channel instantly, and feel free to subscribe to us if you would like. Brenda, back to you.
All right. Shall we jump into some questions from the callers?
Yes.
I'm ready. Okay, here we go. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. This is Laura.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So, I was wondering if you know whether or not I'm going to be meeting my twin flame anytime soon.
Yeah, it's like silence is golden here. It's like, oh, okay. I would say you're going to be meeting some soulmates versus a twin flame. And, the thing with this, too, is everyone thinks that once they get with their twin flame, it's going to be all hunky-dory and, all this love romantic stuff. That's not necessarily true. It's a challenge. I mean, it's still a challenge with that. It's just that the relationship dynamic changes. And like the website stated, that it's not ego-based anymore. It's not the want and need and desire. It's not there anymore. It's just that you are a part of one another, and everything is, I wouldn't say everything, but you feel comfortable and you understand, and it's a deeper, connection, deeper love. So with that said, I could tell you that you do have, a couple individuals coming into your life. The second one, and don't think you could step to the second one or jump to the second one without going to the first one, by the way. Okay? The second one feels like a closer connection of a twin flame, but not a twin flame. And you might connect with him within the next, I'm getting 2 to 3 years. But you'll have one before then. Don't stop that process, or you stop everything.
Now, keep in mind, Laura, a twin flame also isn't necessarily going to be a romantic relationship either. You could end up finding a friend who you can connect with as a twin flame. If I'm correct, Brenda, I mean, certain people on a friendship level can also be considered twin flames, right?
Right, absolutely. And it, Laura, it does feel like your twin flame is in the ethers, and he's helping, or they are helping to guide you in the direction that you're supposed to be going into. And it feels like you've had some excellent, I would say, challenges, but you've also had some excellent breakthroughs, too, with others. How close is that to being correct?
Yeah, I mean, I have had some really close friends in the past, and, I'm looking forward to having more in the future. I was just hoping to meet, I was hoping for a twin flame, a romantic twin flame.
Yeah, see, right there. With twin flames, it's not necessarily romantic. They can still be the love of your life, but it's not necessarily romantic.
Do you see a romance? Do you see a romance at all? Do you see a romance coming at all?
Yeah, romance coming. I would say within the next 6 months you have a romance coming.
Okay, well, that's good.
See, you can get romance from a person without the person being a twin flame.
Right.
Which means it's not going to be like a lasting thing. It's going to be brief.
Well, see, and the thing is now with the twin flame, it's not necessarily lasting either. So the lasting thing can come from a soulmate. But if people are gonna set their sights on having soulmate or your twin flame as the ultimate, I'm done, that's it, not gonna happen.
But you said the soulmate would be like 2 to 3 years out.
That one that's going to be the closest to a twin flame, yes.
Okay. Huh.
Because this is the analogy that I give. I try to give an analogy. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. Is you have the divine spark splits off into 2. From those 2 divine sparks, they split off to 2 more, and so on and so forth. So it continues to go. And then once you get the rows going there of the twin flames, but you could call it that, they have soul groups. And those soul groups in a line, you're going like a pyramid, okay? So as you're going down toward the base, it kind of goes out further and further. Well, each one of those lines is a soul group that will feel like a twin or close to a twin. And if you have, say, you're up to the top level where you have the 1, and then you have the 2, and then you have the 4, so on and so forth. If you're up to the upper tier, not all the way up, but say up to the level 4 tier, where there's 4 people or 4 flames, and then you can connect with any of the soulmates that are down the line, or I'm going to call it a lineage, that's down that lineage, and be connected with that soulmate, okay? And those are the ones that you connect with, but you don't really connect with. They're there to teach you a lesson. They're there for a reason, season, or a lifetime type of deal. And then all of a sudden that one, okay, that individual left because you learned what you needed to learn, and then you're there. I got my one hand still up there where you're at, and my right hand's down toward the bottom level. And then all of a sudden you go up to the next level, and you get closer and closer and closer. This does not mean in any way, shape, or form that you're going to start at a lower level with a soulmate. And it's just whatever it is, the random thing that you need to learn, that will be that level. And then you might get a soulmate who is maybe 2 tiers under you, okay? And that one will feel really good. It's almost like a twin flame, but not quite. And then you may have the rest of your lifetime with that that soulmate, because you guys, you've worked it out type of deal. That's not necessarily your twin flame. Your twin flame could very well be on the other side and helping you to connect to this individual, which feels like that's going to happen for you 2 to 3 years down the road. And this particular individual that you're going to connect with next, within the next 6 months or so, will get you to that next step.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I said. You can't bypass that level. You can't bypass that level, because there's lessons there that you need to learn to go to the next level.
Mm-hmm. And see, this is very interesting because... Oh, go first.
I was going to say, because what this does for you is it helps you to get rid of the baggage so you can get even closer and closer and closer. So that's kind of how that works. At least that's what I've read, and that's kind of what I've, with Patrick, I knew there was definitely something different, and the connection wasn't a obsession, even though his book says sacred obsession. Even though it wasn't obsession, it wasn't because this is continuing on past his passing.
Okay. I'm looking forward to, I guess, what happens.
And don't be disheartened about this, because enjoy it while you can. Enjoy the connections that you're going to make with other people. Just know that there is a possibility that they're coming in for you to learn something, and them learn something from you. Right now I'm living with a soulmate, because there's a lot of stuff that we're learning from one another. And trust me, soulmates are not always the opposite gender.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can have mother-daughter, same way twin flames, you have mother-daughter, father-son, grandfather, granddaughter, a grandmother, grandson. It's different. It's not all the romantic thing that the media has put out there. But don't be disheartened, because I'm telling you what, you can have some really good quality time with the next 2 people that are coming into your life. The second one will be around you a lot longer than this next one. I don't know if that's what you feel, Donny?
Yeah. And that's like 2 to 3 years out, that second one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but don't focus on that. You got to allow that to come in, because when you focus it, you push it back.
Right.
Everything is energetic. Go ahead.
I was actually going to make the statement that, a lot of people try to define love and finding a soulmate or a twin flame based on a period of time. And the thing is, love really, you can't define it with time, because many different variables affect how love is created and how it thrives and how it declines. So, any action or any decision that you make could affect it. So, which is precisely why Brenda was saying that if you focus a lot on the time and when it occurs, it's going to end up pushing it back.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate the reading.
Yeah, the best thing, Laura, to really kind of think about is go on with your life, do what you need to do what you feel you need to do for your career, your family, your loved ones, and stuff like that. Allow this process to happen, and that's when Patrick came into play, because I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, and he just popped in there. Okay, and I'm telling you, your twin flame is a very old twin flame, which means that you are also very old and very wise, and you don't even realize that. You don't use it because you think you're lesser than everybody else, and that's not the case. That's not the case at all. You have more knowledge and wisdom than you know. You just have to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. And that's unfortunate that people think that the twin flames are going to come in to change their lives, and that's not necessarily true. It was far from that with Patrick and I. Far from that with Patrick and I.
Mm-hmm.
And, it can be tough. It can be very, very tough. So, okay, let's go to the next caller.
Okay.
Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, my name is Dee, and I got kind of the same question as the other caller, but I'm wanting to know when my spiritual soulmate husband may be coming in. If you can pick up anything, I appreciate it.
I love the way you said that.
Yes.
I like that too.
And see, right there, instead of having the twin flame, and when you said the soulmate spiritual husband, that's cool.
Yeah, that's a difference, cool. Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is by far. It is by far. Oh my gosh. You are basically, for me, I don't know about you, Donny, but you're basically, for me, just about at that plateau. You're right there at that peak. You just need to do a couple more tweakings, and he's going to be right there. And, oh, my gosh, are you going to love the heck out of this guy. I like him just sitting here.
All right.
I'm distinctly getting the feeling that it's going to be someone you don't necessarily expect. So not only are you going to love it, but it's going to also be surprising.
Mhm. Wow. Yeah. Do you see maybe a time frame for me? I know you said a love that, I'm not trying to put a time frame, but, I've just been praying so much for some things in my life, and that's one of them. And I just want to know.
Mm-hmm. I have one question for you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe a couple, but at least one. Do you love yourself?
Yes, I'm starting to love myself. I always loved myself. I'm starting to appreciate who I am and just embracing me. Just it's just me. I know that I'm different. I'm not like everybody else, and no, I'm not like the supermodels, or I don't talk like other people talk. I don't think like other people think. I don't do what other people do. But I'm learning that it's okay to be different and to accept who you are. This is who I am. And, I learned the hard way. I'm very hard-headed. Yes, I am. Very hard on myself, but I'm starting to let go on some things.
What I've learned through this whole process of twin flames is we have to be able to love ourselves before we can truly, truly, unconditionally love our twin flames. Okay? And that starts out with the soulmate. And that starts out really with us. Do we love ourselves? Because if we loved ourselves, we wouldn't necessarily need someone into our life to love us. Okay? When someone did come into our life, once we love ourselves, that love is more pure than having someone else come in and say, or you feel that they're going to love you the way you want to be loved, when you can't even love you the way you want to be loved. So you, like I said, you have done a lot of work, and very soon you're going to be rewarded for that work.
I feel the exact same way. And this transition, this has been a very important transition for you. And now you're starting to realize it, and now you're going to start drawing these things to you because you've come to this realization.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. And see, guys out there, everyone, guys and gals, this young lady right here has been doing the work. She's been working on herself, you know, and she's been recognizing the things that she has to, like, let go and to go forward and to love herself and to, in different situations. This is what you have to do to be able to get someone in your life that you can love like you would love yourself and that you would want to love or be loved yourself. Okay? You have to show the very same love for yourself that you would someone else or you would want from someone else. That's a huge key right there.
Yes.
Huge key.
Yes. That's so true. Yes.
Girl, Sam, you got me standing up. It's like preaching to preaching.
Well, I'm learning something today about soulmate and twin flames because, you know, I didn't know who do I ask? Do I ask for a twin flame or a soulmate? I got them confused for a minute, you know, and you kind of you know, I like that clarification that you've been putting out there because I'm getting the understanding of it now. So.
Yeah, and you know, you're not the other one that misunderstands or has misunderstood it, because I was there too. Been there, done it. I'm telling you, Patrick is the first person who ever showed me unconditional love, what it felt like. Okay, and it's amazing. It's amazing to have someone show you what and have you feel what unconditional love is. Because you have no judgment, you have no fear, you have no jealousy, you have no nothing. And it's like that pure love. And it's the love that says, what the Bible says something to the effect as about a dove. You let the dove free. If the dove comes back to you, it was yours. It's yours. If it doesn't, it never was. That is so true about people. You allow them to leave. You allow them to be themselves. If they're going to leave, they're going to leave. If they come back, they're yours. You know, they're meant to be with you. If they don't come back, they never was. Or they never were, however you want to say it.
That's so true.
So those are huge things that we have to learn, and we have to learn those within ourselves. And like I said, you know, Patrick was the first one and the only one that's ever showed me what unconditional love was all about. Now, I can't say that I can love someone unconditionally yet, other than Patrick himself. You know, and maybe we're not supposed to know that, or, you know, until we do reach the twin flame thing. But unconditional love, I mean, you forgive everything. You forgive and you understand, and, you know, I mean, that's all a part of it. It's just, and maybe I showed that to him too. I have no idea. So. And then who's okay? For Freckles says, yes, I agree. You have to love yourself first. And you do. If you can love yourself, every aspect of yourself, whether or not you're big, whether or not you're short, whether or not you're tall, whether you're skinny, you know, whether or not you have crossed toes and freckled faces or whatever, you know, and your nose is kind of, you know, pointed up like mine is a little bit, you know, because I've got stubby nose. But you have to be able to love yourself. You have to be able to love all of you.
Yeah.
And that's also a form of unconditional love that I'm being told too. And then you'll be able to love another person just for them, just for who they are, because you already love yourself. So you don't need them to love you the way that you want to be loved, because you're loving yourself the way you want to be loved. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going to step off my soapbox now and sit back down, okay?
Thank you. So you think it's around the corner so soon, like this year, hopefully, right?
See, you have to still work on that aspect.
Okay, I'm trying. I'm trying.
But yeah, you are really, really close to that peak, and that's awesome. You've been working. Kudos to you, and thank you for keeping on, working on that.
Thank
you. I see. What do you see, Donny?
I think it's coming around much sooner than you think, and the thing is, like I was saying, the transition is important, and from here on out, you're going to keep building and keep building and keep building, and I really feel you building at a more quickened pace because you're, like I said, you've come to this realization. So I'm not going to necessarily say in a year because a variety of things can change how long this type of thing can happen. Mm-hmm. But I do sincerely believe that it's quite soon.
Yeah, it's quicker than you think it is. It's quicker than you think it is.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Most welcome.
Mm-hmm.
You're most welcome. I'm going to put you back on listening, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Now, see, that's what you got to do. You got to work your own stuff. You work your own stuff, you get closer to that end result that you're looking for.
And you have to be self-aware as well. Because through that, then you can create change within yourself.
Right. When you have that neediness energy, guess what you do? Instead of bringing it to you, you're pushing the people and the things away from you. And that's not a good thing. This is, yep, and I got four freckles in there saying in the chat room, do a lot of manifesting also. Absolutely. You manifest. You have to be active. You have to be a participant in life. You cannot sit around and wait for things to happen. You have to make them happen for yourself. Don't wait for someone else to come into your life to get things done, to do things. You have to be a participant. Mm-hmm. Because guess what? When you're a participant and you're out there in the world, that's when you're going to meet the person you're supposed to meet. That's part of that coincidence. Or synchronicity. You can't sit home and say, oh, I want a soulmate. Oh, I want a twin flame. You cannot do that. You have to be out there involved in the world. You have to be manifesting.
Definitely.
Okay. Dream Master 1 says, being self-aware, let alone just being aware of others and within 3D is difficult enough for most humans. And that's true. It is difficult. But the thing is, I feel that it starts with responsibility, taking responsibility for yourself and your actions. And we have been taught to give it out and give it up to God. Okay, it's yours now, God. Help me out here. But, God says, help yourself too. You can give it up to me. That's your sins. But in order to get going and walking forward, you have to open that door. You have to walk to that door. And it shall be given. Ask and ye shall receive. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be open to you.
Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, knock and it shall be open to you. Don't try to break the door down. A lot of people try to break the door down because they want it so badly, but when you break that door down, it shoves whatever is on the other side of the door away, and you don't want that to happen.
Yeah, no, that's not cool either. I'm going to read what Dream Master 1 stated, and then we're going to go on a break. So Dream Master 1 finishes up and says, some see where that others are so distant. Some see where that others are so distracted and blinded. And, you know, we do see that. We do see one another's where, okay, let's break this barrier, or, you know, I see where this is happening to this person and stuff like that. And it's easy for us to see other people's stuff than it is our own. And been there, done that. At times I still do that, and I have to remind myself, Brenda, stop that. You know, you need to look and see what your part to play is in all of this stuff and what you need to learn from this situation. Don't forget that. You're a player in this one. You need to see. You need to find. So, with that said, Dream Master, after you get done typing, we're going to be right back after this break. And I'm not sure what this landscape thingy is. No, we'll do something different. I'm trying to find us a good one. Yes, here we go. Oh, Good Feeling Flow Rider. That's what happens when you forget that you have a little bit of time left. Welcome back to Universal Journeys.
We were having an interesting conversation.
Our apologies. So, Donny, do you have another announcement to make?
Okay, so since I just advertised the Universal Journeys YouTube page, I also wanted to advertise my own. If you go to YouTube and type in Donny Winter, you can find me there. I do a lot of videos about LGBTQ awareness, autism awareness, bullying awareness, geeky videos, all sorts of different things. And you're more than welcome to subscribe to my channel also. Back to you, Brenda.
Thank you. Okay, so I mentioned that I was going to go back in and finish reading up what Freckles had to say for Freckles. And let's see here. And Freckles says, be subtle, don't fret, or do not fret the future. It's just keep walking forward, you know. And okay, move that body, get the energy flowing. That's a good one, too. And then they asked if we could ask questions. I said, yes, you can ask questions. And Tosh Fabulous asked the question. I wanted to know, is the guy Christopher I am seeing, is he a soulmate connection or twin flame connection? What do you feel, Donny?
I am feeling that he is a soulmate connection. Because for the vibe that I get is that it's something that is still growing a bit, but it'll grow to a certain extent. I'm not necessarily saying that it's going to deteriorate, but for me, the twin flame relationship is always continually growing.
True. I'd say that Christopher is close, though. I do feel he's very close to a twin flame. And guys, just because it's not your twin flame, don't go and dump them, okay? Don't go dump them just because they're not your twin flames. It might be the best thing that happened in your life. Why would you want to give them something like that?
Yeah, the soulmate connection, the soulmate connection can last your entire life, too. Just because it's a soulmate and not a twin flame doesn't mean that it's any less of a connection, you know?
Welcome. Yes, very true. That's very true. So, okay. Okay, so let's go to the caller that's been waiting here patiently for us for quite some time. So here we go. Take this caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air, and welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name is Yvette, and I was just listening to your show, and I have a couple questions. When you were reading earlier about the twin flame versus the soulmate, what website were you reading that from?
So I was reading that from, if you need to pull this back up here. That was from www.twinflames with an S, soulmates with an S.com.
Okay. And of course, I would. They have some what now?
They have some very good information on there about twin flames, about soulmates, and about a lot of other things. I mean, they did their homework. I can tell you, I've been to a lot of soulmate websites and stuff like that, twin flame websites. This one is one of the better ones.
Awesome. I will definitely check that out. And, of course, I would love to see what you ladies get on my current relationship. I think I know what it is. I'm just curious if you all pick up the same.
What I'm feeling with this one here is my right foot or my right leg is like it picks it up to go to the next level. You know, it's like, okay, this is what this is. Oh, yep, go. You know, so either you guys are going up to the next level together, or you're getting ready to say, okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So. But it doesn't feel like the relationship you have with this guy is bad, though.
I'm feeling that one of the individuals in the relationship is hesitant to take it to the next level. I can't just necessarily pinpoint why that is, but I can feel some hesitation.
That would be accurate, and their hesitation is probably my hesitation.
Oh, I knew there was hesitation in there. I could sense it.
And maybe that is why I'm getting this. Okay, pick your foot up and go to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And why are you hesitating? Why are you hesitating?
It's very new. It's all very, like when you were describing the difference between the two, between the soulmate versus the twin flame, how it feels like home and all that kind of stuff. Like that's what we say all the time when we're together. But it's almost like so intense. It's like we both kind of like back off a little bit, like to the point like I told him the other day, I was like, I was thinking about dumping you, and he's like, what? How are you gonna dump me? like, well, you don't call, you don't do what I want for you to do. And he's like, well, I told you I'm not that person. He's like, but you know we're together. I'm like, I get that, but you know this is what I'm expecting. And he's like, okay, well I'll try to do better. But it's all very new. And it was almost like I felt his presence when I met him probably 4 or 5 years ago at church, and before I even saw him, I literally felt like he's here. And I turned, and this fine man came walking through the door, and I was like, oh, and he's fine too, okay. But then because we were flirting and getting to know each other, 3 weeks later, and he walks with his family. And I was like, oh, my goodness, stop, pump the brakes on that. No. I was told he was married. He couldn't find out he was not married. It was just a girl he was dating at the time. And that was his daughter, but not with her. And then so years later, he finds me on Facebook, and he's like, I've always thought you're attractive. I always wanted to be with you, so on and so on and so on. We decided to start dating. I guess it was all very intense, kind of stopped. Then we became official just over a month ago, and even that has been like kind of start, stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just, hence my hesitation.
Oh, okay. I can tell you with Patrick and I, and like I said, you have to remember he's a priest, so he can't do a whole lot. But we were doing the same thing because the intensity of the energy was so, at times, overwhelming that we had to back away from each other. Just to okay, what do we got going on there? And then we come back together again, and then it's like all this intensity. And I guess maybe for us as a saving grace that he actually got an appointment somewhere else out of the state, and so that he was good about making sure that he was safe with that, and that he remained faithful to the faith in God on the physical plane. So it was just that dynamic, and it was very intense, and I'm telling you, it was very heartbreaking for me too. It was like, oh my God, I want to feel that intensity. Not intensity, but I want to feel that touch and feel that body up against me, that warm body, and I knew it couldn't be, but that really was a strong point for me. That was a very, very hard lesson. But it got me to where right now with what I am and doing, I'm not in a relationship, but I don't feel that I have to be in a relationship. I don't need to have someone there because I already do. And I think that's a huge step forward. That's one of those things that we have to learn, that we don't necessarily need someone in our life, but it's always nice to have someone so you can go out and do things with, but it's not a necessity. So we're not smothering the other individual. So I could definitely see that where you guys are doing that, the intensity of the energy, the pull away.
And also, too, like in my case, it's actually the opposite. I've spent the last 11 years being in long-distance relationships because I didn't want to be smothered or be around somebody. And so this is my first relationship in 11 years that the person's actually in the same city, a 10-minute drive away. You know, so it's hard to fight that. You know, like, well, I'll call you in an hour. He's like, don't call me, just come over. And I'm like, oh, that's right, I can do that. Okay. And so it's a little scary at the same time because I've never experienced it really. And I mean, I was with the same person on and off for about nine years, but he was never home. Even though he lived in the same city, he was military, so it was, you know, stationed here, stationed there, stationed there, and it was never anything really to it. And it's I was sitting there thinking this morning, actually, like, how weird is it that I've been with this person, you know, for the past month, and I've been with them more physically than I ever have with the other person in 9.5 years.
Yep.
So it's just new to me. So that's why I was like, okay, so that's maybe my hesitation in a little bit. But like I said, his hesitation is causing my hesitation, and I think it's just, I don't know. Anyway, that's where I'm at. So I appreciate you ladies and your time and whatever you get on that. I appreciate it. I don't even know at this point.
Just keep going forward, Yvette, and you'll get over the shakiness and, you know, with with the separation. Because, again, I, too, because of being away from another person, another physical being anyways for a while, I have hesitation as well. So I know what you're talking about. What you're talking about. It's natural.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, so on to the next caller, shall we?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Okay, caller. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. My name is Adeline.
Hi, Adeline.
Hello.
Hello. I'm calling because I met a guy about 3 months ago now, and we hit it off really good. We had so much in common. We liked so much of the same things. He actually felt like he was a twin flame or a soulmate connection. And then all of a sudden, in the past 2 weeks, this Mercury retrograde started, and he's a Gemini. It's like the rug got pulled out from under me. And now it's like, I don't want to see you anymore. And no, I just want to be alone, and, you know, stuff like that. And I'm like, wait a minute, what happened? We shared so much in those 3 months. And also we had met previously years ago, either like 2 or 3 times, like through someone else. So I didn't even remember him. So then he even said to me he used to come by my job, and he would see me at work sometimes, and he would say, well, when I'm single again, I'm going to go look for this woman. And here it happens, 20 years later. So I don't know. I know there's a connection there, but I don't want to blame everything on the Mercury retrograde either. But, it's been tough. It's been tough.
You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of a Taurus. And I can say that because I'm a Taurus. Okay?
Okay.
And not necessarily all Tauruses do this, but I do because my moon is in Gemini. Okay? So I understand. So if I get into not necessarily a relationship or a situation, if I get into a situation that's becoming a little intense, and I say a lot intense actually, and I don't know how to get out of it or to go forward with it or to do whatever I need to do with it, I will back away until I can figure it out without all the other pressures, and then I'll go back to it.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, this Mercury retrograde, though, has been a bear.
Oh, it's been kicking my behind.
Worst. Yeah, me too.
It's really
this is like the worst. Yeah. Well, and we had some issues with Saturn going on there too. Saturn, starts to shake things up, and it really did too. I mean, with the full moon, in the retrograde, in Saturn doing its conjunct with other planets, and Venus and Mars, or Venus and Jupiter, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it really has caused a lot of havoc. And this is one of the things that brings that on. That's part of it.
Well, he came straight out and said, "I want nothing to do with you. It's over." And I'm like, "What?" Just like flipping the switch, the light switch. I'm like, "What?"
From what I'm sensing in this, I feel like you're his soulmate or twin flame, but he's not up at your level yet. Like, I feel that explains his hesitation, that explains his, change in attitude, I feel.
Mm-hmm. And it feels like he's going to come back around. He might not be right away, but it feels like he'll be back around.
I hope so. I hope so, because we did click really well, and we had a lot in common, and in those 3 months, it was like we already knew each other. He did more for me than anybody in my past relationships in 3 months. And like you say, unconditional love. He wanted nothing in return but just time and attention and someone to talk to and be with. And sometimes he would look at me and say, I don't remember how he would say it, but I would look at him and I said, "Well, this is what you asked for. You've been praying all this time that you were looking for a woman with these qualities. Here she is." And I said the same thing to him. I says,
I was going to say, they don't know what to do with that. They get freaked out because they realize, oh my God, this is what I asked. This is what I asked God for, and I don't know if I'm ready.
And his brother's like, he's a fool. How could he do that? Because I know his brother, and he says he's a fool. He's gonna sit there and do nothing, and he thinks he's going to stay alone the rest of his life, and he's letting a good woman slip by. And everybody saw the change in him because he was down and out, and he went through the same things I did. He had just finished a bad relationship 8 or 9 months before we got together, and we both more or less went through the same thing, a few different ways. And it was like, we picked each other up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So.
And sometimes people can't handle that either. They can't handle the good life. And that's what I call a good life. When you have a good relationship, things are going right, people can't handle that because they don't feel worthy.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So, so it goes back to, sometimes it goes back to feeling worthy, and it's like, well, I deserve something less than this because then it makes me feel more comfortable. And so that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It just frustrates me because it's like, okay, so now what? Do I wait? Do I don't wait? I want to wait, but then it's like it's killing me because it's like I want to call or text or stop by, but I don't want to do that either. I don't want to seem pushy.
Right. The best thing to do is just continue with your life. And if it happens, and it will happen, he'll come back around, but it might be a little bit.
Right.
But go on with your life. Donny, what do you think?
See, the thing is, you are ready to find your soulmate or your twin flame. And if you linger and wait for him, you may end up missing an opportunity, and you don't want to pass that up. I feel like there's going to be someone else coming up in your future where if you look away, you're going to end up completely missing him, and you don't want to do that. And like this individual that you've been talking about, to me, he just sounds like he is intimidated by your level right now, and because of that, he is pushing you away and reclusing himself. And that just tells me that you're ready, he's not.
Okay.
He still has a lot more growing to do.
Okay. That sounds about right. I agree with that. Can't beat a dead horse.
Yep. No, you can't. Doesn't do any good because a dead horse doesn't do anything anyway.
No, think up the place. All right. Well, thank you very much for clearing that out for me. And it gives me something to think about.
Good.
All right. Have a good evening. And thank you.
Thank you. You
too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. We have to clear up something now, guys. Donny is a guy. He's not a woman. Mm-hmm. Okay.
My lady energy is vibrant tonight, so.
Oh, vibrant every night we do this.
Well, this is true. Something we should, before we get on to the next callers, I think it's also important to talk about masculinity and femininity in relation to twin flames.
Yeah.
And I think you can explain that far more effectively than I can, Brenda, so I will let you take the floor with that.
Well, with masculinity and femininity, now I can tell you that I exuded at times more masculinity than Patrick did. Patrick exuded more femininity than I did at times. Just because it's male-female does not necessarily mean it's masculine and feminine. You know, males are always masculine here. No, that doesn't mean that. Because I can tell you that Patrick knew the different colors, like fuchsia or some of these other colors. I had no freaking clue, okay? That was just like the farthest thing from my mind. I didn't really care. But he did. He knew this. Different oranges, different reds, different whatever. He knew this. So he had that femininity within him. The twin flame, just like it mentioned in the website, is, or maybe I didn't read that part of it, but the femininity comes in and masculinity comes in, and we are one of the opposites. We're opposite of one another. But for Patrick, he had a lot of drive in his life, which is a masculine energy. It was a drive. Feminine energy is more the intuition and the creative side and things like that. Now, like I said, we both exuded that, or we both at times went back and forth. But just because you're a male does not mean you're masculine, and just because you're female does not mean you're feminine. You know, we all have a little bit of that in all of us, in it at times. Your twin will bring out one or the other, or both. It'll help you balance that particular aspect of your life. So, and just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you're feminine again.
Right. With the whole twin flame concept, and I think this just goes, it just goes to show with identity in general, not just this, but masculinity and femininity isn't necessarily defined by sex. I firmly believe that a person's, we all have varying, changing, flowing degrees of masculinity and femininity. It just so happens that for the show, for example, I'm using my intuition more, and a lot of people interpret that as feminine energy.
Mm. Yes.
At least that's what I think.
Right, and that's true. I mean, Story Virtue has a great book out there, and it talks about the masculine, feminine energies and not being male or female. It's just masculine or feminine. And she also explains the differences between the masculine energy as being a thriving energy, as being one to go get type. You use that masculine energy. And sometimes we have to switch up and use the feminine energy. But the balancing between the two is what we really want to acquire, because like a pendulum swing, you have a pendulum that goes from one side over to the other side. And if you're using the masculine energy, that's totally on one side. But you also need to allow it to balance out and go to the other side for the feminine aspect of that. So you can balance the energies within the body. One side of your body is feminine, one side of your body is masculine. Now, some people will say that the left side is the masculine side and the right side is the feminine side. Some will say it's the opposite. Okay? But it really is what resonates with you. For me, the feminine side is my left side and the masculine side is my right side. Excuse me. So it really is balancing the both, because you have to get the pendulum thing in the center, and it'll go back and forth a little bit from side to side, depending on the situation that you're working with. If you need to strive and get things done, then you'll go a little bit more to the masculine side. But if you need that creative side, once you're balanced, you can go there, and it'll still swing back to the masculine a little bit, but it'll go back and forth. And this is really what you want to do, is you have to work on yourself to balance that feminine, masculine energy within you. Any given time, I can be silly and crazy, with Donny especially. He's a crazy guy. But then there are times as well when I go with my other friends, I'm very much the masculine energy, and it just happens that way. So, but it's the balance, and you really have to balance.
Definitely. I completely agree.
So, okay.
So shall we go on to our final callers?
Yes, unless you want to go on another break. Do you need another break?
Do you? I think I'm good. We can keep going.
Okay. All right, so let's get the next caller here. Hi, caller, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Fabulous.
Did you have a question for us?
I did. I was checking to see what you're picking up around, basically what everyone's calling about, what my other half will show up.
I'm almost like, what do you mean? That other half hasn't shown up already?
I agree. But no.
Because that other half feels like it's right there with you. At least for me, anyway. He's like, wow.
I'm sure
I feel like
it.
I feel like it's close by.
I don't know. I'm kind of confused, and I'm not able to clearly pick up if on myself if it is it or is it not related to a move. And I don't know if I'm going to meet him after I move, and the move is imminent, or I'm going to meet him here. I don't know.
Okay, I have to ask a question because this is confusing me a little bit, because it feels like he's right there. And did you just get out of a relationship or something with another individual?
No. And I haven't dated for a while, so by design, while I was taking care of my own stuff.
Right. Okay. It feels like you're very intuitive, and you could be standing or sitting where we're at right now and doing the same thing.
I do, but I don't like I said, when I can't read myself, I always go to the experts.
Yeah, I got that.
Because I can never tell if it's just something I really, really, really want, or if it's for my highest and best. And so it's just best to get a outside opinion, because when you really want something, you can't see straight.
That's very true. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, it's very hard for us to read ourselves, and I have to agree with that to an extent. If we can learn to step out of our emotions, like we're standing right here, right now, and we back up or go forward and leave our emotions behind or leave them in front of us, then you'll be able to find out. But I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on here, but like your twin flame is right there with you, right now. Very, very strong.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, the only thing that I can think of, because you do this stuff, that your twin flame is helping you, he's on the other side, helping you right now to focus in and do your work.
Mm-hmm.
Like right there. Now, with that said, I'm also getting a little bit of, not so much, because he also could be alive and still helping you with this process. And maybe he's not ready yet, and is why you have let things go, why you haven't been in a relationship. Because I'm getting the, aha, that's it, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So basically all you're doing is waiting in the holding pattern for him to finish up his stuff, but yet he's also working very, very closely to you on the spiritual plane. Very close. Because he's right there.
Right. Because I definitely feel like a holding pattern. Like I am, it's not horrible, but it's like it's not where I need to be, and I know it. And it's
right.
I'm not being allowed to see down the road for some reason.
Nope. No, because you change it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd go there.
I know, when you're not supposed to.
I know.
That's something.
But I'm getting it's a total block, and I'm not used to that. Like, wow, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. For me, I think the best thing would be to just allow it to enter into your life without trying to determine when that'll be or where that'll be, because we were talking about this earlier in the show too. The difficulty with twin flames and soulmates is that our insistence on focusing on the time and the place can end up potentially changing it continually, which would mean that it would constantly elude you. But like with Brenda senses, I feel like that this person is close by spiritually, and honestly, I also get the feeling that he's close by physically too. And by close by physically, I don't mean like in the next house or apartment or whatever. I mean like in your community's radius, or perhaps slightly beyond that as well.
Okay, I agree with that. And like I said, I'm not trying to manipulate it. It's just that I feel like something is imminent, but I can't see,
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's coming. He has to, like I said, he has to figure out some things that are going on with him, and he's almost there. I'm telling you, he's almost there. And you have to allow that to happen, and you are, okay? The next thing is, I would say you're going to be making a move here soon. Not too far in the future.
I agree.
Maybe
with that.
toward the beginning of next year.
Mm-hmm. And don't get discouraged if you can't see this clearly either, because to me, I feel like this is going to come as a bit of a surprise to you when you encounter this person. So maybe, I feel like that could be why the universe isn't allowing you to see this clearly.
I know, but it feels blind, and I'm not used to that. And it's
right, and you're not used to feeling that way.
Yeah, and there's nothing I can do about it, but I'm just like, this is unusual guarding of information from me.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'll hang in there. But, 6 months is not that far away, and
right.
That's nothing.
In situations where I have been frustrated about not being able to see information clearly, sometimes what you have to do is just sit there, meditate, and introspect, and allow the information to come to you on its own. Because a lot of the time we're always trying to seek things out.
Yeah.
But if we allow it to gravitate toward us, it'll fall. Like, I feel like we all, in a way, have our own little personal gravity field on the spiritual level, and if we allow that to just fall into our grasp in that way, then we'll be able to see it.
Right. And it may all just be by design, It's supposed to be a surprise, and that's okay too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's going to have to be right. It is. Well, I appreciate you too. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the insight. It's very helpful, and it resonated.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling us.
You bet.
Okay, Brenda, do we have another caller?
Yeah, let me see if the caller stayed with us. No, the caller did not stay with us. So, yes, we're getting ready to go. But that's okay, too. Wow, it's a great stuff. Now, I have 4 Freckles in the chat room, and I actually mistakenly was still connected to the gal that we were talking to with Christopher. But Freckles wants to know if her twin flame or soulmate is around her.
Right. You kind of broke up, at least on my end, you kind of broke up there toward the end, Brenda. Could you repeat what you said?
Yes. I just said that Freckles wants to know if her twin flame soulmate is around her. Did you get that?
I did get that.
Okay. So I feel that Freckles still has some time or some things to work out within herself before that next, or before that soulmate, twin flame, soulmate person comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, guys, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, and remember, guys, you have to work on yourself. You have to do your work. You have to go forward and not focus so much on a soulmate or twin flame, because this life is about you. It's about all of the teachings and the learnings that you are going to experience. And by doing this, you're also helping other people too. Now, the other side, or the other half, or the other soulmate, or, the balance there, they have to work on their own stuff too. And just because your twin flame may be here on Earth at the same time you are, if they're not working on your stuff, and you're not working on your stuff, or you're working on your stuff and they're not working on it, then that's not going to work out, because you both have to work on each other. Now, you can make a spiritual connection, just like the last caller did, or has with her twin flame, is you make a spiritual connection and you try to help each other there. Patrick and I did the same thing. There was a time when we were going through stuff, or I was going through something, or he was going through something, and I imagined myself going up through these clouds of this barrier, and once I got through, I would reach my hand down to pull him up to that level. And he did that for me sometimes, too. But that's on the spiritual plane. And as you help each other up, and that's what this is all about, is helping each other up, you begin to resonate on higher levels, and you begin to connect with higher level beings.
Mm-hmm.
And really, that's what it's all about. It's about you learning how to reconnect, and you really haven't lost the connection, but your brain says you have, your ego says you have, with the divine source. And the people here on Earth, while we're here in this body and lifetime, we do that, and that's what that's all about. But you've got to work on your stuff, and you've got to stop looking for those people to come into your life.
Exactly. And another thing is, and we've also discovered this today during the show, is that sometimes people mistake other people's need to work on themselves as a flaw within themselves too. Because if you are gravitating towards someone that you think is your soulmate or your twin flame, and they're not ready to do it and they push you away, if you end up viewing that as a flaw within yourself, you're going to end up regressing back to that point in which they're existing, and you don't want to do that. Because a lot of us may not realize it, but we are already at that elevated level where we can find that soulmate or twin flame. And it's important to always remain conscious of how we're interpreting other people's sense of identity, because we don't want to get caught up in their insecurities.
Right. And that has happened, and it will happen if you don't watch it.
Definitely. Ooh, I just got goosebumps from that.
That's confirmation bumps. I say goosebumps or confirmation bumps. So,
and the thing is, another interesting thing, especially with the last caller, is that we always, if we are frustrated, we always try to force ourselves to perceive something. And if you're a person who has intuition, which I sincerely think I think everyone has intuition, but if you have a honed intuition, you got to realize that sometimes you're not going to be able to perceive everything. We may feel like we're practiced, we may feel like we're very skilled, but there's always going to be things beyond our reach. But the thing is, just because it's beyond our reach doesn't mean that we are incapable of understanding it, because there are many different ways of perceiving, your twin flame or your soulmate. So don't just limit it to trying to see it in your mind or trying to get a bearing on the time or the place it's going to take place, because in the end, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the connection that will be made.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, when you do make the twin flame connection, there are there are endless possibilities and endless ways to communicate and to connect with one another. Now, I can tell you, even after their passing, no matter if they were here on Earth when you were here and you guys didn't connect or whatever, when they leave or when they go to the next incarnation or whatever you want to call it, they also, you feel them. I feel Patrick. I felt Patrick ever since he's left. It's changed a little bit. I could tell you up to a week after his passing, I was like, no, this is not possible. We cannot do this. You're still alive. I still feel you the way I did when you were alive, and this is, not possible. And it's just, then I heard, Brenda, what makes the difference? We were connected. You were connected to him on a spiritual plane. You felt everything on a spiritual plane. What is the difference? I'm like, oh, okay. That made sense to me,
Exactly.
And it's just, it's just, so I can't explain the dynamics or the total dynamics of this connection that Patrick and I have. When he passed, he was very afraid. For me, it was like, you're doing good. I remember one time after his passing that I was doing some stuff with ghost hunting with my friend Deb, who actually, Deb and Debbie, who actually have the mystical awakenings here. And I said, stop, because he was making my heart hurt. And I was like, stop. And he said, you don't see what I see. And he saw darkness. And I told him, but you don't see what I see. I don't see the darkness. I see the light.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh. And I understood what he was seeing, because he was seeing phantoms and bad people and bad guys and monsters and different things like that. And so the transition was quite an interesting transition that I was able to help him through. And there came a point in his life after his passing, that he clung to me, and I'm like, what are you doing? And it's like I could tell it was fear, because I had felt that from him before when I did some stuff. And he says, well, there's just darkness. And I said, okay, this is what you can do. And I don't even know where I got this information at. And I said, this is what you can do. Build yourself. Imagine yourself, your study, with all your books and your desk and your chair and everything else, and put a window. And he did that, and he stayed that way for quite some time, and then he ventured out, and it was like he got a little scared again. I said, okay, this is what you do now. Now, light a torch. Light like one of those torches that you take into the caves and stuff like that. Light that, and then build a fire. And then, as I'm telling him, everyone else that was in the dark, I could see this. Everyone else that was in the dark, they started to light, the fires and build fires. And all of a sudden, all of the dark boogeymen and everything else that was there were gone.
Mm-hmm.
So guys, just because we're here on the physical plane doesn't mean that we can't help on the other plane. And just because we're here on the physical plane doesn't mean that we can't help others who are on this plane too. Just like that. That's a great example. And I'm telling you, it was amazing for me. And after a while, Patrick did ascend, and I had tried to get him to leave and cut his energy off, and there was just no way. You can't sever a part of you. I don't care how hard it is. You can leave or whatever, but you can't sever that connection. That's another thing with twin flames. You cannot sever that connection. It's not possible. I tried. I tried on the physical plane. I tried on the spiritual plane. You can't sever that connection. It's impossible.
Definitely.
Okay? We're all one. We're all here. We're all connected. You can't sever that connection, especially with the twin flame. It was a great learning lesson for me that we're all one, but on different levels of all one.
Mm-hmm.
You can't separate that connection. I don't care if you're an alien or if you're a monkey, or I don't care. We're all one. We're all part of the whole.
I love you.
We're all I had to go there just to say, okay, we are all one. What we do affects everyone around us. What they do affects us.
Mm-hmm.
And when
Definitely.
we begin to understand that more and more, hopefully some of these atrocities that are happening throughout the world with war and persecution and killing and everything else will subside.
Exactly.
Because we're hurting ourselves. The Native Americans have a great analogy. What you do right now on this earth affects 7 generations.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very true.
Definitely.
Very, very true. So be kind, be thoughtful, be understanding, be aware. Start with yourself first, though.
Exactly. And if you're afraid that you're not going to find your twin flame, don't be afraid of that kind of thing. Life is always about transition. Life is always about change. The quicker I mean, and the thing is, it's not necessarily about quickness either. When you discover who you are and when you are able to allow yourself to evolve and change, that's when you're going to invite that energy into your life. Remember to knock on the door. Don't bash the door down.
Right. Exactly. That was a great analogy, Donny, by the way. You're awesome.
Oh, you're awesome.
So, you know, you guys, the more you try to find your twin flame and soulmate, the more and more it's going to elude you. If you just focus on what you do in your own life without that aspect, those people are going to show up in your life a lot quicker than you trying to force it to happen. And by trying to force it to happen, it means that you're trying to get, you know, this done, this connection. And if it's not ready, it's not ready. So just go forward. Don't stop your life. I did it. I know what it feels like. Don't. It's not fun. Trying to make up now. So we have 2 minutes left, and I do want to tell you about some other shows that we have on Mystical Awakening Radio. So, and these are all from 7 to 9 in the evening. So Monday night from 7 to 9, we have Beyond Smoke and Mirrors. Tuesday night from 7 to 9, we have Spiritual Journeys. This is a new show, and it's going to be an interesting one. Wednesday night is Mystical Awakenings Radio, which is Mystical Awakenings at 7 to 9. And on Friday nights, we have True Paranormal from 7 to 9. So thank you guys for coming in, and we do appreciate it. Much, much love to all of you. And don't forget, start with yourself first. Be loving to yourself. Be understanding, and everything else will fall into place for you. Manifestations will occur that you will be like, wow, how did that happen? Because it happened. You allowed it to happen, you know. And you know, you ask God. Thank God every day. And I know most of you do. But there's nothing wrong with that. Thank God. Thank the ancestors. Thank the angels. You know, thank the guides. Thank yourself. Thank your higher self. I do that every day. Thanks, guys. And have a good night. Donny, do you have anything else?
Follow your heart, for only you know which path is right for you.
Love it. Have a great day, guys. Much love.
See you later.